Welcome everybody. Can I have your attention please? We're going to get going in just a moment with the continuation of our senior speaker series. April 10th also brings our deposit day for newly accepted students to Suffield, so we're sorting through all of that. And I wanted to thank you for all of your help with the 2 revisit days we had. It looks like we're going to be right where we want to be. The significant core of our enrollment is set for next year. We have a little bit of wiggle room for some great kids we meet this spring, but we're in excellent shape and have a great group set to join us in the fall. I would say we competed most frequently with Loomis Chaffee and Berkshire and Blair Academy this year, winning many of those, but some kids we took went to those 3 as well. So thank you again. You should feel great about the state of the school, and your enthusiasm was obvious to our guests, and I really appreciate it. We're going to start today with CJ, and when Makai is done, you'll be excused. CJ.
Good afternoon, Suffield. My name is CJ Malthy, and I am a 4-year senior. I've thought about many different ideas on what I should write my chapel speech about for the last 3 years. Everything from my childhood memories growing up with my brothers Peter and Jack, to my passion for the art of grilling some of the finest meats east of the Mississippi, has been a deep consideration. If you have ever had a conversation with me, then you probably know that I'm from New Jersey. I'd like to take my time today to talk about my home state and why it doesn't deserve as much hate as it receives. I've never heard the phrases, New Jersey is the armpit of America, or New Jersey is New York's little borough, until I settled into Suffield, Connecticut, with people from all around the world. I'm here today to tell you why not only those statements are incorrect, but why New Jersey is easily one of the best states in the country and a great place to visit and live. I do understand why people say that New Jersey smells bad in the Newark area and complain about how gross the Newark airport is. However, that is the industrial side of the state, which allows us to get cheaper stuff, and there's a new terminal in the Newark airport with the one and only Shake Shack. For all the New Yorkers who think that they are way better than us New Jerseyans, we have better bagels and pizza. Not only that, but outside of New York City, the state is just as exciting as Nebraska. And New Jersey is closer to Manhattan than some of its own boroughs, let alone the suburbs. Geographically, New Jersey is in prime location, with New York City and Philadelphia being at most a 2.5-hour drive from everyone in the state. New Jersey doesn't have as much uncharted land as other states, therefore you will never get bored. In the summer, there's no better place than the 130-mile-long Jersey Shore. And no, the show Jersey Shore doesn't depict everyone that goes there for the summer, probably about half. At the shore, you will experience everything from Pennsylvania drivers getting Italian guys so mad that they almost combust, to easily losing 20 bucks trying to throw a ring around a soda bottle to win an outsourced toy that was made for 37 cents. It is beach towns on top of beach towns, filled with 12-year-olds who have bought something from the ice cream truck 3 times in one day and now have blue teeth, and 25-year-olds who missed college a little too much, turning a beach house into a frat house for a week. It is easy to say, I don't know what to expect at the shore, and I ate way too much cherry Italian ice growing up. To my friends and people that follow my TikTok, at CJCJ3344, I am a food connoisseur. Last night I counted 19 states that I've been to, and I am proud to say that New Jersey has the best food, and this is totally an unbiased opinion. Some fun facts I'd like to let you all know about New Jersey before my time runs out here are, the streets in Monopoly are the same as the streets in Atlantic City, New Jersey. New Jersey is the diner capital of the world. The Statue of Liberty is actually in New Jersey, and the state bird is the eastern goldfinch. New Jersey is strongly a part of my identity and always will be. Since my freshman year, Suffield has also been a part of my identity. I am so happy I have had the opportunity to meet friends I will have for the rest of my life here at Suffield. If you would like to debate about anything I said today, they typically happen on a Tuesday or Wednesday night in room 1 of Fuller, when Owen Arnold makes a ridiculous statement about Massachusetts even competing with New Jersey. I will end this speech the same way I ended my 8th grade speech for treasurer. Thank you everyone for not being garrulous. NJ Strong, go Yankees.
Hello, Suffield. My name is Austin Moore. I'm a 4-year senior at Feeding Hills, Massachusetts. I want to make one thing perfectly clear before I begin my speech today. The opportunity to attend Suffield Academy is what has been one of the most special experiences of my life. I'll be forever grateful for what this school has done for me. The memories of the people I've met and the experience I've had are ones I'll look back on fondly for the rest of my life. I'm incredibly proud of how I've grown and matured here, and I can't thank Suffield enough for that. This school will always have a spot in my heart, and I genuinely don't think there's a place where I would have rather spent the last 4 years. Like anything though, Suffield is not perfect. That is why I'm taking it upon myself to try to remedy a few personal problems I have with the school. I've brought with me 3 suggestions that I will now present to you all. I have mixed feelings about Saturday school, and looking out at the crowd in front of me today, I can just sense that many of you do as well. I think that throughout my time at Suffield, I've heard a different opinion about it from every person I've discussed the matter with. Some love it, others don't, but what is certain is that no one knows for sure what to do with it. It's a polarizing topic, to say the least. A few months ago, I decided that I wanted to be the person to resolve this issue once and for all, but I didn't really know where to start. Luckily for me, March break was right around the corner, so I had essentially the entire month to come up with a plan to bring you all today. It got tough at times, and I often tried to quit. What kept me going was the thought of being able to give back for all you've done for me. But what better way to do this, I thought, than by fixing Saturday school forever. Amidst one particularly productive stretch of research, I had a breakthrough. After too many sleepless nights, I can now say with complete and utter confidence that I found a solution to this issue that will appease all of you. I've come to the conclusion that the whole one-day weekend system we currently find ourselves in just isn't working. I propose to do away with this nonsense entirely and have school on both Saturday and Sunday instead. I have a feeling this is precisely what all of you had in mind. This radical new way of structuring the week will give us more interrupted time to work on classwork and learn new material. Furthermore, our teachers will no longer be so lonely on Sundays, given they will now have us to keep them company. The dread we feel looming over us on Sunday evenings, coined by some as the Sunday scaries, will also disappear completely, which I would argue is a good enough reason alone for the implementation of the new no-day weekends. If you really think about it, how can we continue to bicker over what to do with our weekends if we don't want to happen at all? I know the school administration will definitely be on board. All I need now is the support of you to make this a reality. Some of you may dislike my suggestion, but just know that if you do, it'll hurt my feelings. My next suggestion may offend some of you, and I'd like to apologize in advance for that. My earlier proposition was created with all of your best interests in mind, but this one is for me. For some background, this is an issue I've struggled with every day for the past 4 years. It follows me when I put on my sports jerseys, it trails me throughout the halls of the school, it offends my eyes at every turn, and it assaults me even today as the blinding backdrop for my chapel speech. I am afflicted with the condition of not liking the color orange. So I feel like we should change it. I don't necessarily have a new color scheme for the school in mind, as I'm not yet that far, or as I'm yet to get that far, but I would prefer to not contain orange. I would actually say that going to something that's taught me to be more accepting of the color, but I still firmly believe that there are better options out there. But we're the Tigers, some may object. Tigers are orange and black, aren't they? To them I say, some Tigers are actually white and black, and also stop questioning me. To be completely clear, this is not an attack on Suffield, though it may seem like it knowing how deeply ingrained this color orange is into the school. This is just something that I've carried with me for the past 4 years and need to get off my chest. I can even remember back when I was an 8th grader selecting a boarding school and struggling to look past Suffield's color scheme. On one hand, I love Suffield's campus, its faculty, the sense of community, the student body, and the feeling that I belong there. But on the other, I didn't really want to wear orange on my sports jerseys. If it's any consolation, the only reason I don't like the color orange is that it reminds me of my real least favorite color, which is yellow. It's just hard for me to look past the closest on the color spectrum. Before I get into my final proposition, I'd like to briefly thank my parents for everything they've done for me up to this point. I know I don't say thank you nearly enough, so I wanted to take the time now to do so. And my last suggestion is to erect a life-size statue of Mr. Edwards in the center of campus. CNC is both an amazing advisor, and I really think the school can use more statues. I also considered the idea of a tiger statue, but I didn't think it was intimidating enough. Thank you so much.
Hi, Sophia. My name is Reese Babcock, and I'm a 3-year senior from San Jose, Florida. On September 28th, 2022, my life changed forever. Whirling winds up to 160 miles per hour terrorized my home for almost 24 hours. Storm surges of 15 feet flooding everything in its path. Hurricane Ian destroyed everything, almost everything I knew and loved. For 13 years, San Juan Island has been my home, but in one day, it was all taken away from me. After the storm, the longest 48 hours of my life began. Call after call would go directly to voicemail. I had no idea if my parents made it out on the other side. I'd refresh news updates every possible chance I could. Pictures of roads I'd drive on every day, completely submerged underwater. Buildings and landmarks that I would see every day were completely ripped to pieces. Worst of all, the causeway, the only way off the island, was destroyed. Seeing my home be terrorized from 1,500 miles away and not knowing if my parents were okay made me feel helpless. I quickly went into a downward spiral. Hour-long classes felt like days. Time seemed to move in slow motion. All I could think about was my parents and my home. I received countless calls from family and loved ones asking if I was okay. And all I could say was I was fine, when really, I wasn't. I couldn't fall asleep at night. I would lie awake at night thinking of all the possible worst things that could have happened. After 2 long, restless days and nights, I finally got the test. I heard a buzz from my phone at around 5 a.m., and I don't think I've ever moved faster in my life. "We are okay" was all the text read, but at that moment, all the stress I had completely vanished away. A sense of relief and happiness filled my mind, and I was finally able to relax. My parents were safe, and that was all I cared about. I was able to get the first sleep I got in days. That afternoon, I'd never been so thankful to hear my parents' voice. They had been evacuated via helicopter and made it off the island. From that moment on, I looked at life in a whole new perspective. You see, something as simple as a phone call with your parents or loved ones can be taken away in an instant. The day of the storm, I talked to my parents to wish them luck, and there were points over those 2 days where I thought that was the last time I'd ever talked to them. Last Thanksgiving, I went home for the first time and watched all my childhood memories buried in debris. Street after street with piles of debris on every corner, my home had become a wasteland. What was once a beautiful vacation destination filled with tourists to explore the beaches and water was now left in ruins. Luckily, my house received minimal damage, but every piece of nature surrounding it had been left lifeless. I had friends lose houses, my family lost cars, and my dad lost most of his business. Up until that point, I never truly experienced tragedy in my life. But from then on, I've tried to only focus on the positives in life, because no matter how low you can go, you can always go lower. Although my home has been destroyed, my parents are still here. My mom even made the trip today. I make sure to enjoy every moment that I have because I know how quickly things can change. If you could take anything away from the speech, it would be to never take anything for granted because you could lose everything at any moment. Sandwell today is currently rebuilding, and every time I return home, it gets better and better. It may never return to what it once was, and even if it gets close, it'll take at least 5 years to return to somewhat normal. The damages of hurricanes are only put on the news for a week and then forgotten about, but the recovery process takes years. Seeing a natural disaster firsthand, you begin to realize the lasting effects it can have on a community. It took months for power to return to the island, and it'll take years to get back to 50% of residents. Most businesses have become closed since the storm, leaving families without jobs and income. Insurance won't cover most damage costs, leading to some families having to sell the remains of their house and leave. At some point in the future, Sandwell will return to its former glory, but it'll never be the same. People who cannot afford the increasing costs and risks will leave, and some businesses will never reopen. Although Hurricane Ian took away so much of my memories, my home and memories, I can say that I am thankful and lucky to be in the place I am today. This experience has helped me learn so much about the value of life and find the good of everything. To Mom and Dad, this is long overdue, but I'm so thankful for everything you two do for me. I have no idea where I'd be without you by my side the entire way. You're the best parents I could ever ask for. You have no idea the pain I experienced when I thought I lost you. No matter what I do, you're always there to support me, and I'm forever appreciative of you. I think I can finally say you did make the right decision for me in coming here. To my sister May, you're the best big sister ever, and I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished. I know it may not always seem like it, but I am so thankful to have you in my life. We may not talk much, which we should change, but every time I see you at home, I enjoy every second with you. I know I never say it, but I truly do love all of you. Thank you.
Fog has descended as a skiff skims along the water. I know this because when I glance above the back of the teammate seated before me, all I can see is gray. I noticed that he is utilizing the skills that Mr. Coates and Mr. Honesty showed him yesterday. After intense training in the previous summer, I'd finally made a varsity skiff last year. Encouraged by my success, I expected a strong season. But life had other plans. AP exams, injuries, illnesses, they all contrived to interfere. We had ridiculous shakeups with crew members skipping practices. There was no opportunity to practice together as a team. No chance to create the cohesiveness that is crucial to the success on the water. And I was a senior member of the span of misfits. I still remember our first training together, and unfortunately, our times were pitiful. Morale suffered, and as someone who's competitive and likes to win, I was frustrated. Never leave the responsibilities to others. Don't avoid any problems if you can manage them. I recall my father's words. Through a compulsion I didn't quite understand, I began to think of the meaning of crew. It was the ultimate team sport. If you are not pulling your weight in the boat, and one of your teammates are picking up the slack. You have to prove to your crew member that you're willing to give up everything you have on each stroke, each practice, and each race. Now, with 2 races remaining, was a chance to show that we are the ones who are qualified, to prove that we could win. I refused to concede defeat or to allow them to either. I began to go to the practice every time when it's optional, to let the coaches or this crazy guy, Zeno Denkenmet, to show me the techniques on the tanks. Every day after practice, I maintained a body shape by doing an extra session of rowing machines. After three days, the coaches noticed the improvement and complimented the effort. Even though the skills may not be there, the cohesiveness and team chemistry were. In a penultimate race, up against legitimate varsity squads, we crossed the finish line. Every ounce of energy had been spent. I was exhausted. We were first, and the leader inside me has just been born. The words of my father stood hanging around my ears. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. To this day, I can still recall the words from him, from Mr. Coates, Mr. Honesty, my teammates. They're the ones that helped me to redefine myself and to redefine crew. I want to thank my advisor, Mr. Healy, for taking care of me all 3 years. My dorm life, academic life, and my suffer life. I want to thank all my best friends. I want to thank Jerry Chen for being the best friend for me in all 3 years. I can still remember the very first day that I forgot to be in dress code and dressing up to class like I was going to practice. All the tough workouts with my best friends, all the overdue assignments, and a famous quote I heard in every B period. All right, here comes a quiz. For a place I call a second home, I'm glad and proud to stand here. Hello, Suffield. My name is Harry Xu, a 3-year senior from Shanghai, China. I wish you all a wonderful G period. Thank you.
Hi, Suffield. My name is Theo Herbert. I'm a 2-year senior from Germantown, New York. I decided to write my chapel speech about being a twin. My brother and I have been a combined unit for the past 18 years, a constant presence in each other's lives. You've grown accustomed to hearing Owen and Theo, spoken without room for even a breath between our names. I sometimes wonder what the few minutes of Owen's life were like before I joined him in this world. Did he lie screaming, wrapped in a baby blanket? When I showed up, did he cry even louder, realizing that he would forever be half of something? Do you know that he would have to have shared friends, experiences, and our parents' attention? Or did the sight of me, his twin brother, calm him with relief, knowing he would never be alone, would forever have someone to lean on? Growing up, I always had a partner in crime. Owen was the Morty to my Rick, the donkey to my Shrek, the Robin to my Batman. Yes, in my mind, I was always the lead character, as I'm sure he was in his. We were simply best friends. No idea that came from my brother's mouth was a bad one, if it sounded fun. We got into twice as much mischief as a duo, and created 2 times the chaos. One hot day, we even transformed our grandmother's tiny garden shed into a water slide, resulting in a flooded mess. Another time, we dragged all the Christmas boxes out of storage and decorated the house at 4 in the morning in July. Having a twin who shares my memories and knows me better than anyone is a unique blessing, but it can also be an exhausting struggle. People have a preconception that twins are best buddies that meander through life as an inseparable pair. To a certain extent, this is true. Owen has shaped me into the man I am today, from our first nervous days headed to kindergarten to now when I often ask him for advice. I'm grateful to have him by my side through thick and thin. However, being a twin has also been a challenge. Throughout our entire lives, we have been fiercely competitive with one another. Everything was a contest, from test grades to swimming times, from Little League home runs to family game nights. Sometimes this was a good thing. We felt braver together and motivated each other to take off down a Black Diamond ski slope or hurl ourselves off the high diving board. Together we slept in the Alaskan wilderness, ziplined through Costa Rican rainforests, and went rock climbing in Switzerland. We've given each other courage to try new things and push ourselves out of our comfort zones. In other ways, the constant competition was unwelcomed and affected our relationship negatively. Our strengths and weaknesses were magnified, and while painful at times, I learned to work hard for my accomplishments. I've become a better student, athlete, and a person as a result. Being a twin has taught me valuable lessons. In my struggle to create my own individual identity as Theo Herbert, I've learned to use my competitive nature to push myself to improve. I've learned to be a gracious winner gracious loser and a humble winner. I know that other people's strengths do not diminish my own. In striving to be someone who isn't introduced as Owen's twin, I've learned how to balance shared friendships without jealousy, and to seek out valuable relationships of my own. In recent years, we have been at different boarding schools, and it's wonderful to be at some place where few people even know I have a twin brother. Today I look at myself as a brother, a teammate, and a friend who's able to acknowledge, celebrate, and support the accomplishments of others. I'll always have a twin brother, and he will always have me. Because of this mutual support, we both have our own unique identities that make us better individuals, and for that I'm grateful. Thank you.
What's up, everyone? My name is Drew Hanoush, and I'm a 4-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut. I'd like to take this time to reflect on a few mistakes I've made over the years, and as with every mistake I made, a valuable lesson was learned. Freshman year, I was still finding my feet, which meant trying new things and discovering my strengths and my weaknesses. When it came time to choose a sport in the winter, I was unsure about what I wanted to do. Most of my friends had decided to play basketball, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Unsurprisingly, it was a struggle for me, as I was barely over 5 feet at the time. It's always been easy for my friends to make fun of me because the jokes just go over my head. Anyways, I'd been put on the 4th team with a few of my other friends. One day at the beginning of practice, my friend Carter Scott was jamming out to some music with his headphones on. As he was picking up a rebound, I took a step toward the three-point line and shot the ball. As the ball flew through the air, the trajectory had been, let's say, not quite accurate. Instead of swishing my first three-pointer of practice, the ball hit Carter in the head, snapping his headphones in half. Before the ball had even hit the floor, Carter charged at me like a raging bull. Of course, my teammates did what any good teammates would do, and they stood by and laughed as Carter bulldozed me to the floor. For my short time playing basketball at Suffield, I learned to stick to what I'm good at, which clearly was not basketball. Another mistake I constantly make is trying to reason with my 7-year-old brother, Nick. Nick is what I and many other people consider an iPad kid. With him, there's never a dull moment, and being a day student, I always look forward to going home and seeing him. However, most times when I return home from school, Nick never greets me with a "Hey Drew" or "What's up, bro?" Instead, he shouts commands at me like, Drew, pour me a bowl of cereal, or Drew, Mama took my iPad away, give me yours. Nick always seems to forget the words please and thank you, replacing them with I want it now, or other words I can't repeat. Sometimes I don't understand why my parents decide to lay off the gas with Nick. When I was little, I was scared of saying shut up or crap, and now those words are in Nick's everyday vocabulary. Regardless, learning to talk to Nick has been a good experience for me, and has taught me a great deal of patience over the years. It began with him screaming and crying as a newborn baby, but now it is screaming and crying when he doesn't win in Fortnite. I am sure as he grows up, we can gain a better understanding of each other, and he will learn how to talk to me like I'm his brother, not his servant. Through my time at Suffield, I've had the pleasure of growing close with some truly amazing friends who I now consider family. The problem with this, though, is when it comes time to focus in class, it seems to be a near impossible task. I think back to my sophomore year during the height of COVID, when many of us got accustomed to online class and less work. Eventually, this came back to hurt us when things returned to normalcy. That year, a few of my friends and I had the pleasure of having Mr. Goodwin for chemistry. It was filled with laughter and distractions, so at the end of the year, we were all nervous about splitting up for biology the next year. To our surprise, we ended up with Mr. Goodwin again, but this time with more of our friends. Together, we had to navigate heightened workload and struggles of junior year, and we certainly weren't doing ourselves any favors with our constant digressions. In hindsight, I regret not paying as close attention to Mr. Goodwin, even when he made his frustrations apparent. As my third and final year with Mr. Goodwin comes to an end, my respect for him has grown, and I will keep the memories of my friends with me forever. I could go on and on about the mistakes I've made over the years, but in short, I value each and every lesson I've learned and unique experience I've had along the way. There's no doubt I will have many mistakes to learn from in the future, but I couldn't ask for better friends and family to be by my side while I do it. So thank you to everyone that has helped me. I love and appreciate you all. I hope everyone has a great day.
Hello everyone, my name is Makai Johnson, and as I stand here as a senior contemplating what college is going to be like, I often think back to before I even attended Suffield and what my sister went through. For her, Suffield was the only place she went to high school, and I never really imagined myself standing here giving a chapel speech just like she did 5 years ago. My sister would always come home during the holidays and visits and tell me what it was like being here at Suffield. We grew up not too far away, and she would always tell me that high school is a different place and that if you wanted to be here one day, it was going to be hard. So I tried, and I applied. I didn't get in, and it was hard. When it was time for me to start high school in my hometown, I felt isolated from the community. Even though I grew up there my whole life, I just went to class, not talking to anyone, with my headphones on, just waiting for the school day to end so I could go back home. I would talk to my sister all the time about how I didn't like Howdy Towns High School, and that I knew I could be at Suffield one day. She would always ask if I was going to apply to Suffield again, and I was hesitant because I didn't get in the first time. She would always tell me just because I didn't get in the first time doesn't mean I could give up. So long story short, I decided to apply again, and after another rejection, I stayed out of my high school for another year. I applied one more time, and long story short, I ended up getting in. I went through the process, and this time, it was a good process. I wasn't thinking that I was going to be accepted, but I ended up getting accepted. Me and my sister talked for a while, and she gave me all the advice she could give me, so I could stand here today. I mainly bring this up in my chapel speech to just show how much our own negative thoughts about ourselves weigh us down. I got rejected twice before I got my opportunity, and you have to imagine how many people we consider successful today. Life is about the attempt, and there is nothing more noble than being able to say you tried, you put your best foot forward, and even if the results are not what you expect, just remembering you aren't perfect and that it's only one part. But remembering you have a family behind you is the most important part. I'm not saying I have everything figured out yet, but I learned that leaning on someone is okay, especially when they're your family or here at Suffield. So before I close out, I would like to give a big thank you to my sister and everybody who has been with me through my journey at Suffield. And to the class of 2023, I hope your year has been great, and congratulations to everyone, and I hope you find success throughout your journey.